please.
Wheels up.
Let's see if we are, let's do our streaming search and see if what we're on. Anybody get a?
Twitter is up, as is X.
LinkedIn appears to be up.
And the Facebook is on. Facebook is up.
We're live on Facebook. Okay, so it looks like we're streaming to Facebook, Twitter, X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We're going to be starting the Gillmor Gang momentarily.
YouTube. Are we doing YouTube too? I didn't know that.
It's kind of like a secret.
Mute is off, please.
And you're on LinkedIn too.
I gotta get ready though. Okay. Mute is off. And we're gonna go in 3.
Perfect timing.
3.
Okay, 2.
2.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We're gonna go in 3.
No. Start with mute is off.
Oh, okay. Mute is off. And we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, and.
Hi, Steve Gillmor here. This is the Gillmor Gang. Joining us from the state of confusion is
That's Brent Larry.
that's correct. We're getting these out of the box. So welcome, Brent Leary.
I'm officially an honorary member of the framework or the Commonwealth or whatever you call that, where Dennis comes from.
Because
it's too damn cold down here. That's why. It's really.
Maybe it's
What is-
cold outside.
What's the temperature right now?
Well, right now, see, I already I made a judgment call that said I will not do any shows if we don't get to freezing, and we got the 38 showtime, so that's why I'm here and glad to be here. Yes.
Okay, from the aforementioned framework of Massachusetts is Dennis Pombriant.
That's right. Brent and I are brothers in shivering. It's well, it was 24 here.
Oh,
Okay.
24, which is the highest point I've seen all day.
yipes.
And what's the trend? Is it going to go stay cold, or is it going to get warmer?
Light followed by dark.
Okay. From London, England is Frank Radis. Welcome, Frank.
Hi, guys. To keep with the weather theme, it has been absolutely bone-chilling cold until today. I mean, it's been below freezing for the rest of for the last 4 days or so, and then all of a sudden, boom! It's 55.
Wow.
So
Nice
weird.
boom. Nice boom.
Yeah, it was a good boom.
From Palo Alto, California, it's Keith Tier.
It is indeed, and it is 58 degrees. You probably can't see that because it won't focus on it because it's
Bring it closer to your face.
no. That you see what it is this camera is a face
There you go.
focuser. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd have to zoom in.
Yeah, I can't see that.
Yeah, 58 degrees.
But it
That's-
was in focus. It was.
Okay, that's very good.
And I just want to note that Brent is up to cinematic game.
No, this is the Gillmor Gang, not the random Tier Gang.
Random tier gang. Wow, that
Please,
has a ring to it.
Let me
though.
get through the introductions, please. And I say please advisedly. Okay, from the state of Seattle, Washington, it's Michael Markman.
How do you do? Our report is 44 degrees, overcast, chance of rain today. We had some really frigid, nearly single-digit temperatures last weekend, but we've been in a warming trend since then.
Okay, and who's going to win the New Hampshire primary?
The United States.
Well,
Keeping,
That's probably
keeping his
probably
record
isn't
intact,
true.
not answering questions is okay. And sitting right next to me, of course, is the producer, director, and leading light of the Gillmor Gang. It's Tina Chase Gillmor. Welcome.
Nice.
Hello. How are you? It is a balmy 39 degrees in Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm excited for the Lions game today.
Yeah. That's
My
great.
old home team
Yeah.
never been to a Super Bowl, so I got my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, cross your fingers and root for the Lions. Come
Yeah,
on.
I got a
I-
finger
I-
for the Lions.
I did go to a Super Bowl in Detroit
Woo!
in the 19 movies, and it was cold. It was horrible.
Ah,
Okay, what do we want to talk about?
I want to find out why it was that Nikki Haley didn't accept the 10,000 troops. Oh, what?
What? I don't understand.
Oh, I know.
Go
I
ahead.
know.
Can somebody explain what you're
Go
talking?
ahead. Explain it, Brent.
explain the question.
It's a bit of a gaffe, or are they calling it cognitive decline? I mean, every time one of these dudes says something
Oh,
that
okay, I
makes
get it.
absolutely no sense, they're calling it that. But anyway, your guy number 45, didn't he say something, or didn't he say something about Nikki Haley on January 6th? He tried to give her 10,000 troops to stop the whatever they call it. He doesn't call it an insurrection. He calls it a picnic or something. Anyway,
Hostage crisis.
hostage crisis. So in one of his speeches slash screeds slash rants, he started getting off on this whole thing about, he tried to give Nikki Haley 10,000 troops to stop the hostage taking, I guess.
3 times he did it.
Three times.
It wasn't
So,
like
I'm
Yeah.
doing the poll person by person to avoid the filibuster over there in Seattle. Brent, who's going to win the New Hampshire primary?
Well, there's only one person running, isn't it? I mean, be honest with you.
No trick questions or answers.
Say the word. Say the word.
Your
Who's
guy. Your guy. He's
What do you
gonna
mean by
win.
your?
Oh
I
my.
don't know.
no, you mean the former.
Oh, his former guy. All right, yeah, there it is.
Okay,
You know.
fine. Okay. Frank Radis, who's going to win the New Hampshire primary?
The former guy.
Keith Tier.
For the Republicans, the former guy, and for the Democrats, apparently Biden is not on the list. They're doing a write-in for him. I don't understand what happened there, but
Well, what
So-
happened is that they changed it from being the first in the nation on the Democratic side to being first if you're in South Carolina in the nation.
oh, got it.
Also, Biden is running unopposed, so he's not putting any effort into it.
Okay,
Well,
so did you answer me, Keith?
I did. I said, I think the real
How
secret.
about we just have an answer?
Trump.
Thank you. And Dennis,
I think it's going to be Nikki Haley by a whisker, and the reason this is a little inside baseball. Anybody can vote in the New Hampshire primary who's a registered voter. By voting, you in the Republican primary, for example, your status gets changed from Democrat or Independent to Republican. So there are no Democrats on the ballot, and a lot of Democrats who want to make mischief will go and vote for Nikki Haley. And sometime in July they'll come back and say, I want to be a Democrat again. And they'll just go down to the town hall and do that. It's a very simple process.
okay, so
That
your
sounds like a
answer-
lot. Sounds like a lot of work, though.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fantasy.
Do you think that people?
No, hang on a second.
Oh.
I'm not done. Tina, who's going to win the New Hampshire primary?
And can I just complete my thought?
Yeah.
I think we have hit peak Trump, and New Hampshire will be a proving ground.
So
Thank
you
you very
think Trump is going to win?
No, I think we've
No,
hit.
it's Haley's
So
gonna
I
you-
think we've hit peak
Trump.
Trump.
Okay, got it. Tina?
I think Trump's gonna win, but Haley's gonna make a big leap really close to him. And that's gonna propel her.
Okay, so my theory is that Trump will win big. As
Big.
in more than 15 points,
No,
at least 15 points.
no,
15 points is pretty big.
it is big, but it's not gonna happen.
Okay. Oh,
She's gonna close that gap.
no, she's not.
Yeah, she is.
Democrats are gonna vote for.
He had one chance. She should have debated DeSantis
Well, you're.
in the debate. She pulled out of the debate. No, some of the mainstream media are right
She
about
was never gonna be. No. Mm-mm. You're wrong, Steve. You're just wrong.
Okay, good.
Oh.
Tuesday looms.
Tuesday looms. Yes.
The
So I get
clock-
to filibuster?
No,
Do I get a
Go
filibuster
ahead.
here?
I think
Yeah,
that,
Michael.
This is your
I-
answer that isn't.
I agree partially with everybody. Trump will come in first. Nikki Haley will claim a victory because she'll come in second, and people who are not Republicans voting will skew the election. At least 4,000 Democrats have changed their registration to independent or Republican so far, and in most of the past.
What percentage?
Most of the past New Hampshire elections have had large independent and Democratic contingents voting on the Republican side.
Yeah, so
So-
4,000, if you said 4,000 have changed their registration, what percentage of voting electorate is that?
I don't have it.
Do you think it's
And I can't
substantial?
use my keyboard because it makes a noise.
Is it a rounding error in terms of the overall impact, or you
I think it's more than a rounding error.
my understanding was there's 2 million voters in New Hampshire. That could be wrong. I heard it.
Oh, I think the population in New Hampshire is only 1.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't mean there can't be 2 million votes though. So
Well,
It's
well, I'm sure. Listen, if Trump loses,
1.389.
he will allege that.
It's only 1.4 million population, 1.389.
Trump will allege that whether he wins or loses.
Look, I think the right framing, I'd go the other way from you, Dennis. I think we've reached inevitable Trump, not peak Trump. I think Trump isn't only going to win this, he's going to win the election. And it's time to move from denial to acceptance and then figure out.
Boy,
and
a
figure
lot
out-
of people, a lot of people here.
Let me finish. And figure out the right strategy for changing that.
Mhm.
And it's clear that locking him up isn't going to work as a strategy, even if he gets locked up. So it's time to start fighting on the issues and understanding that democracy means the guy that wins the electoral thing becomes president. And that seems highly likely right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people
I don't see
here
how
in the
it's
UK
highly likely.
think that. Think your way, Keith. It's,
I think that that's misguided. I also think it's what you've been saying for months, and
Yep.
and the numbers never change.
And I also think it ignores what's really happening. The Democrats are
Whoever said
fighting on
I
the
needed to take into account what's really happening?
No, I want to.
The Democrats are fighting on the issues. Just today, Biden issued a new ad that has a woman from Texas talking about how she had to leave the state for an abortion. I mean, it wasn't an ad that said lock Trump up. It was an ad about the issues.
Good.
I think you're right. I think it's an election of 50 states. Each state is going to have probably slightly different key issues that need to be addressed, and that's what the ground game is for. When you get to a point where people are throwing in the towel, that's peak. That's peak.
Who's in the
I saw
town?
on MSNBC.
Ramaswamy.
I saw on MSNBC an analysis of Iowa, and it was Heilman, Jonathan. Is it Jonathan Heilman? Heilman, anyway.
Yeah.
Pile of-
And he made the point that the difference this year from 8 years ago is that Trump's ground campaign is highly professional, whereas it was like completely amateur 8 years ago. And he said the main thing was even despite the weather, they were so professional they could get people. They basically got people to the caucuses. So he's saying that Trump is a real professional campaign now, and I haven't heard anyone say that so far. That was kind of interesting to me.
I agree with that. I've heard that. but,
Yeah, I've
you know,
heard that
We've
too.
got everybody.
I've also heard it.
You still have to wrestle with the fact that Trump got less than 57,000 votes in Iowa, which is 7% or 14% of the voting population. He's
Yeah.
not a runaway train. He's last time he won because he got a plurality of minority results. In other words, he had so many competitors that he could win a state with 30%.
And then you hear I am so tired of hearing the word landslide associated with Iowa. I just think that is wrong, and it's misinformed, and it's bad news, and once again, I'm sitting here bemoaning my former colleagues in the news business.
But would it?
Yeah, if
think
you
it
have
would
only
be-
7% people showing up to vote,
Yeah,
and half of them voted for not Trump,
yeah,
I don't think that's a landslide.
I
But-
agree.
But guys, don't you think that it would be prudent? I use the word denial, and everything I'm hearing here is, I think it's denial. I mean, it's rational denial based on facts. I'm not saying you've lost the plot or anything, but it's denial. Wouldn't it be prudent to start with the proposition that he's the likely winner right now, and then figure out the strategy? Because isn't that?
He's not the likely winner. He's the runaway winner.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean just.
So I don't know what you're talking about when you
I
say.
mean, of the
I don't know
presidential
what you're
election.
talking
I'm talking about the
when you say-
presidential election. I mean, the
don't know what
presidential.
you're talking about when you say that everything you're hearing here on this screen is denying the reality. I think
Well,
everybody
I mean-
realizes that Trump is going to win the nomination.
But I'm saying he's probably going to win the presidency.
Yeah, well, I heard you. I don't agree with you. I think that it's unlikely that he will win the nomination. I mean, the election.
Right. But anyway, that aside, because smart people can disagree about that, I'm more saying
Well,
strategically,
I don't think
wouldn't it
that.
make sense to assume he's the likely winner and fight that fight? Because
No,
if you
no.
assume he's going to lose,
Like-
doesn't that make you complacent?
If that's how
I don't know
professional
I don't know what
politicians-
reality you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Biden campaign has more money than the Trump campaign. The Biden campaign is working very hard based on the assumption that this will be a tough contested fight. Nobody's relaxing. I don't know, you're talking about straw people, not reality.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, that's good.
What I hear you,
That's good. That's
Keith,
good.
what I hear you doing is you're trying to reverse engineer an approach to understanding this election on the basis of issues. I think that's fundamentally wrong.
What, are you saying that issues don't matter?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, this year, well, I tell you what, issues will matter, but Republican issues and the Democrat issues are very different. So, for example, Democrats have the issue of abortion, which is going to be very emotional for a large part of the population. What have we got on the other side? The emotion attached to
Immigration.
Immigration and DEI.
And
DEI, of course, is
AI
the three
destroying-
initials to spell racism.
AI destroying their ability to get a job. I think that's the number one Republican issue.
Keep a job.
Why are we even talking about AI in the media if it's not super important?
Well, because the media is among the people who are most threatened by AI.
Exactly correct.
AI is the bright shining object. Bright shining
That's right.
object.
It's that to which Robert Scoble tends to look for hope.
And whatever happened to Web 3.0?
Bitcoin is at a 2-year high. BlackRock raised $1 billion in 2 weeks for a Bitcoin ETF. Circle has filed for an IPO. Circle is the stablecoin company. So I would say Web3 is not number one in terms of talking points anymore, but it's still very real.
Well, Web3 is not a subject on the campaign trail. AI is my point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the issue around AI is still gelling. Honestly, I think that you're right, Steve, but I'm not sure that it's gotten to the point yet where people on the right are looking at it and saying it's AI. Damn it, that's the thing. I don't see that yet.
I mean, to extend that, what are the partisan positions on AI? It's true that AI is looming as a disruptor, but what do the Democrats say about AI, and what do the Republicans say about AI?
Neither
And how does
neither
it
one of
figure
them
into
know
the
enough to
campaign?
say anything. Neither one of them know enough to say anything about it.
Yeah, but that hasn't stopped the Republicans and to some extent the Democrats from saying what they have to say.
I,
What are
You-
they
I don't
saying?
think
if you want
I
to
don't
see
think you
what
can.
the,
What is either one of them
if you
saying?
want, I
You know,
thought
I don't-
it sounded like a question, and I'd like to answer it. If you want to see how AI is being messaged by the Republicans, take a look at what they're doing about the electric car.
What Trump's doing about the electric car.
They're all doing it.
What is it, Steve? Tell us.
They're trying to debunk it.
Drill,
They're-
drill,
They're
drill.
trying
That's
to
what
say that they're running it as a fear campaign, a la AI. They're saying you're going to lose your job that you never had, and you're screwed.
So let's drill more oil wells and get back to putting the gasoline in the cars and wrecking the environment, and everything will be right with the world.
Well, basically,
well, the weird thing is that oil production in the U.S. is higher than it's ever been, and it's now highest in the world. So I don't know how that's that. Most of the Republican issues really don't exist except for immigration. Crime doesn't exist. Inflation doesn't exist. Drilling doesn't exist. They've all evaporated.
Yeah, look at the stock market.
I was gonna say,
One of the
don't leave out
Mike-
the stock market and the economy. If they were going on just facts, they wouldn't have anything to talk about. But they know that people still. I mean, do you see these interviews at all these rallies where they ask these people, "Why are you voting for Trump?" And instead of saying the obvious, they say stuff like, "Everything was better under him. The economy was great. There was no, and it's like everything they say is the exact opposite, but they say it with such fervor and such frankness because they kind of believe that nonsense, and
They
they
do
don't
believe
really
it.
want to come
Right.
out and
Well,
say.
I mean, if you go in, take your microphone into the basket of deplorables, you're going to get deplorable answers. That's not where the contest is.
No,
The contest is
Mike-
swing districts
What does that mean?
and swing states,
Deplorable
and people don't go and talk to those people. It's
Oh.
much more amusing and interesting to talk to the idiots outside of a Trump rally.
So,
That's the
Michael,
problem.
I would say that immigration, when you said apart from immigration, the apart from is not really merited. Immigration is a huge issue. The inability to control borders for any nation state is massive. You
And
don't
That's
that's
true,
a
but what
new
you see-
issue. Did
I
that just
agree with that.
happen last
What
Um,
year?
you see on the Democratic side increasingly is that they are saying, look, we're trying to solve it. The Republicans won't solve it.
That's true,
The Biden administration and the Democratic campaign are working very hard to flip that issue.
I
They're all
agree.
saying, we're ready to deal. We've given you a
Yeah,
deal.
but
But
isn't it-
you don't
isn't
want to
it
take
cra-
the deal.
Isn't it
but
crazy though that
that's-
that guy was
Hey,
was president
listen,
for 4 years?
everybody, stop talking over each other. Brent, go ahead.
That's what kind of irritates me. This dude was president for 4 years. Didn't he have this issue? Was this something that just propped up overnight? Why do they always have to be on the defensive when they're talking about? Why don't they attack that dude on that? I don't get it.
Well, look, I think buried within the immigration issue, which is something I studied for decades and wrote a book about, are two separate things. The first is there's a racist element, which is we don't like foreigners and we shouldn't let them in. And that bit's almost the easiest bit to deal with because it's easy to disagree with that. The harder bit.
Second, Keith, I've gotta say, I don't know that it's that we don't. Hang on, let me end myself here. I don't know if it's we don't like foreigners. I think it's we
Certain
don't like
foreigners.
people of color
Yeah, certain foreigners, I
Yeah.
think.
different because
Well, so you can add
it's
that.
from white foreigners and people don't have that much of a problem
Well, actually, in the UK, it was Poles who were whiter than white. So it can be aimed at white people as well.
Yes,
But it
we're
was,
not in the UK here. I
no,
mean, right now, foreigners like you, Keith, are accepted here.
yeah, but there
You
is
come you
there.
come from
Oh,
the
yeah,
UK,
to a
and
certain
Yeah,
you're,
but this is
and you're very
nitpicking,
white.
guys. Guys, you're nitpicking. All I'm pointing out,
Oh, who isn't?
I'm pointing out that there is this border issue, and it's, by the way, everywhere in the world. That go to Italy, listen to what's going on in Italy and Sweden. It's everywhere, which is focused on foreigners, many of whom are brown, or black. That's correct. Some of whom are not, but mostly they are because of the way the world is, because of colonialism and such. That's one issue, and what I'm saying is that's the easy one to deal with, because arguing against racism is natural and organic to how we all think, I think. The harder one is loss of control, institutions' loss of control over borders, which is more of is government effective issue. And that's the one where vulnerability comes in, because I'm not nation state first, as you all know, and I'm not really pro borders that much, but actually most people are. And when they see that the border's not under control, that creates a backlash, and Trump benefits from that. The other thing, Michael, you didn't mention, and I think I watched Andrew Sullivan last night on Bill Maher's show. The DEI backlash is not constrained to the right. There's quite a big DEI backlash that involves liberals who are anti-racist not liking the mechanism of DEI to solve racism.
Can somebody explain what you're talking about, Keith? DEI, what is that?
It's basically diversity, equality, and
inclusion.
Inclusion, which is another word for, I mean, this isn't accurate, but I'll use the word anyway. It's like positive discrimination. It isn't quite a quota
You said this
system.
is easy to talk about. Wow.
So quota systems are illegal in the US, but it's quotas by another name, which is it came out last week, for example, that the average African-American candidate that gets into either Harvard or Yale, I forget which one, scores way less because of DEI. And so then you can argue, what is the best way to address inequality? Is it by making exceptions to the rules higher up? That's DEI. Or is it by going to the core of the roots of racism, which is economic inequality that leads to poor schooling, that leads to poor opportunity, that leads to depression and lack of hope? That, there's different ways to deal with it. And there is a more subtle conversation going on about the right way to fight racism.
Keith, I've noticed that a lot of corporations are eliminating their diversity and inclusiveness groups.
Flat out, cutting it all out completely.
Yeah, and it's like, of course, they're also dropping a lot of their CMOs too. You see that happening a lot in big corporations, but which has nothing to do with the DEI issue. But the DEI issue is something that's being looked at. People somewhere are pulling strings that are making these corporations drop these people. So that says we don't want diversity and inclusiveness.
Yeah. Can I go back to Keith? The racism thing. We have a candidate running for the Republicans on their ticket, running for presidency, who has blatantly asked flat out, "Did racism ever exist in America?"
Yeah,
she couldn't even answer, because she knew if she said the real truth, she might as well forget all those folks that she wants to vote for.
yeah.
Well, that's why she said the Civil War. She never mentioned the word racism with the Civil War.
Of course not.
Slavery.
She knows if she does, she's out completely.
That's the easiest side. I mean, she's obviously, we can argue against that easily and I think win intellectually and everything. I think the harder conversation is the one that the cleverer Republicans are focused on, which is, their claim will be that we've become increasingly anti-white, anti-male, anti-straight. And by the way, I'm not agreeing with that. I'm just telling you, it resonates with a lot of people.
But I guess in some ways that's true, because if it was 100% white and male at some point, of course, as things progress and as more groups of people get a chance to participate, it does become less of that. That's what they're threatened for. And that's what
But
you
the
really have to
emotional
fight with
issue-
actual facts, though. I mean, that's just
The,
something you
the
can't get
emotional
around.
issue has to do with the fact that straight white males feel entitled to run things. And
No, well, that's
if
true.
if more people come to the table, the status of straight white males becomes a little bit diluted, because suddenly you have gay males and females, you have females, straight and gay, you have brown people, you have black people, and the sense that this is a dominantly straight white male Christian country is eroded.
No, but most straight
That's
white
that's the
males.
core of the emotion.
Well, yeah, but it gets mixed up. Most straight white males, I think, are anti-racist, against homophobia, pro gay rights, pro women's rights, probably pro life, pro right to choose. So a straight white male is not a dinosaur or a bad person. And but the argument that resonates is that you should apologize for being a straight white male. Well, that no one's going to agree to that. So it's a bad argument. It's going to,
But
you're
I
actually
think that's a straw
alienating.
man. I don't think that's in any way real. I think if you take the cohort of straight white Christian males, they have a spectrum from left to right. They are not. Many of them, as you say, are not racist, are not homophobic, are not blah 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 blah. But many of them are, and the emotional appeal is to the spectrum, the side of the spectrum that is homophobic, racist, Christian nationalist. That's where the
You see,
Republican
you know,
is
you guys are
emotionally.
falling into
So,
a
I mean,
trap.
when you try and look at these
Give Dennis
issues,
a second. Yes,
When
you
try
can,
and
but
look
I
at-
want to hear.
All right, I won't.
I want to hear what
I'll
Dennis.
leave.
What a fucking baby.
No.
Let's go ahead.
So I think this discussion and the national discussion is actually mired in a trap. And the trap is zero sum thinking.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a powerful white male and I don't want to lose something to somebody else. But the fact of the matter is that we were never founded to support white males exclusively. We were founded on the Enlightenment principles of everybody gets life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think if we were to argue on that dimension or those dimensions, we'd discover that if you're a poor white guy or a poor white anything in Appalachia, you want your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and you can understand that you're not getting it. Maybe you're a victim of the opioid epidemic, or your job moved away, or whatever. Same thing could be true of somebody living in an inner city. Same thing could be true of someone who's not cis, binary, whatever the sexual thing is. Everybody has an interest in supporting life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and it's something that everybody can come together on. If we could get the conversation to change from zero-sum thinking to the expanding pie, which is what I'm talking about, I don't think Trump would have a chance.
I agree with that. I mean, to me, it's about rights and liberties. So what I'm shining a light on is the minute you make single white males the enemy, as opposed to lack of liberty and rights the enemy, you alienate a lot of single white males who vote. And actually, they are not the enemy. They are privileged beneficiaries of a prior regime, but it's not, they didn't cause that. They are the beneficiaries, but they weren't the cause. And by
well, you're right,
them
but
the cause,
let's not go back to that, because I think we've all agreed that they're not the victims, and we don't want a zero-sum environment. And as far as that thinking goes, it goes up at least as far back as Greece and Rome. The comedies of people like Terence and Seneca frequently focused on the slave master, the rich person who, by virtue of his position, was powerful and owned a lot. And his slaves and his women and his children were always running circles around him logically and making him look like a fool. That's baked into civilization, I think.
So I would I'm going to go back for a second and reference something that Michael was talking about, and that is the spectrum of racism, where some are, on one side of the spectrum and some are on the other side of the spectrum, and that I think that issue says that there are people that can be swayed to not agree with racism as an issue, and therefore would not vote for someone like Donald Trump because of that, which kind of flies in the face of what you were saying, Keith, a little bit. And I don't know if I'm making any sense with what I'm saying. It's just a feeling that I have that there's a spectrum out there, and it's almost like what happened in Iowa. Here's this large pool, and the large pool was only 50%, and only a certain percentage of that 50% voted for the former guy. I see the same kind of thing applying to that other spectrum that Michael was talking about. And if that's the case, then it says more about against what you were saying, Keith, that he's going to win the election. And I also don't agree with the fact that you take the idea of looking at he's going to win the election and try and, as Steve said, sort of re-engineer it. I think you need to go through this process and of figuring out who's what and where before you get to that final process, which is the general election. That's my position.
Well, like that my motivation and everything I'm saying is, how do we stop him winning?
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a suspicion right now he's the most likely to win. That doesn't mean he will win, because there's a lot of time to go. But how do you stop him winning? And my thinking is, okay, well, where are his strong points? Because you never beat someone by attacking their weak points. You've got to attack their strong points.
I think that part of it, and I said this last week, that I blame the media. What Rachel Maddow did, for example, during his speech after he won, was she cut it off. And she said, we will monitor this. And if he says anything that's worth bringing back to you, we'll bring it back to you. But most of what he's saying is not true. So we're not going to air it live. And CNN did not something dissimilar. They did not air it. And the only people that did air it full were of the mainstream media was Fox, which was to be expected. And I think that if more of that kind of editorial thinking went into the coverage of this guy now more than ever, it could make a difference, because these people are they're being spoon-fed from the propagandists of Fox and Newsmaxes and the conservative media, and that's all they're listening to. So take that little percentage of people. It's what, 28%, 30%, something like that. That's not a winning number. And make sure that the other 70% get it right. That what I'm saying by get it right, that is
okay. I gotta interrupt here, because I'm being asked by Tina to apologize to Markman for interrupting him, and I want to say I'm sorry if I interrupted him. I'm not sorry that I interrupted him. The reason that I interrupted him is because I am essentially the managing editor of this show. That's why it's got my name on it. And as such, I make judgment calls all the time about the flow of the show, not anybody's opinion, not one person being right and the other wrong, none of that. It's about rhythm. It's like jazz. And my instinct was to listen to somebody who hadn't said much, who wanted to in and was having a hard time getting in.
Yeah.
And so
that's how I read it. That's how I read it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you read it, or it matters that I am being asked to apologize for that. So when Frank starts talking about the media being the responsible party, I agree with him. I sit all day, every day, railing against the media on my four-shot. But the bottom line is, if we can't fucking deal with this here, in an independent venue, because of all the turmoil that has been unleashed by some of the actors in this space, and I would say principally Republicans, then what are we expecting of the so-called media? I don't see a difference between the media. There's gatekeeper philosophy that what we're really missing is, Walter Cronkite and two other guys, all white, by the way, who are going to come in and make this reasonable, logical. No, we're being overcome by people who see money in division and chaos. Now, if we can't deal with that here, where do we deal with it? So I apologize to anybody who's listening for my ineptitude as a moderator, but I'm sick of being a moderator.
That's been clear for a long time.
Yeah, but at this point, I don't know that the show is going to continue.
Oh,
Look, Michael Markman is a brilliant person who has some tremendous insights and a comprehensive knowledge of the information space.
yeah, and a voice that needs to be heard, I think.
That's right. On the other hand, I get sick of hearing, coming from the left as I do in my family. My father wrote a book on McCarthy, for God's sake. I'm really tired of the progressive attitude that, as was referenced earlier, deplorables are the problem.
No, that's not what he said.
No, I don't think that's exactly what he said either. I think he
No,
was.
I'm saying
when
that
when the
when
media
Hillary
takes a
Clinton
mic-
said, when Hillary Clinton laid down, there were two events that happened that are as responsible for this information crisis that we're in. One was the correspondence dinner when Barack Obama, to my great delight at the time, basically told,
everybody.
what an idiot the idiot was. And what did we get out of that? We got, the idiot said, "Oh, really? Well, let's see what an idiot I am. I may be an idiot, but I may be popular too." And the other event was Hillary's description of deplorables. She
That pissed them.
basically, it's not a question of whether it pissed them off or not. It gave them a platform.
Yeah.
And the media eats it up because it's all about clicks. So I don't know how to solve this problem, but I damn well know that if I can't, exert my sense of continuity, rhythm, humor, and various other kinds of things, if I can't do that effectively without being called on it and basically people running off the show, I don't know what I'm apologizing for. So I'm not apologizing for what I sense is a product that's worth working hard for. And you guys all are working hard for that, including Michael Markman. So I hope he comes back, but that's my apology. If you don't accept it, cool.
Well, Steve, if I could, I think I think one of the things we all need to keep in mind is more than simple civility is the fact that we're all guests on the program, and you as the host direct the beam of the show where it's going. That's true in anything we watch on CNN or Fox or MSNBC. And an invitation to speak is not open-ended.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that's true. I don't see, uh, uh, I rail against a number of the scenarios on this show uh, that aren't to my liking, but I'm just one of the people on this show. The role of being a managing editor is not to decide who's right and who's wrong.
Your job is to keep the conversation moving, and if one person gets on the soapbox and holds onto it too long, then everything's going down a rat hole.
Not a question of too long in the case of what we were. Markman was making a ton of sense. Everything he had to say at that point. What I wanted to do was to add somebody else saying a ton of sense in relationship to it, because it's a conversation.
Okay,
Okay.
And the proof of the
Oh.
pudding is that I didn't think he was making a ton of sense, and I was allowed to say so.
So let me put the brakes on this for a second, if I might, and ask if anybody read Stephen Battaglio's column in the in the Los Angeles Times, where he was talking about the billionaires who are trying to bail out the print industry, Newsweek, Washington Post, LA Times, and how those billionaires are constantly losing money. So those of us who thought, wow, these guys may come in and try and do something, are looking so bad as owners of these large newspapers that how much longer can they hold out? And because I haven't seen that any of them have done anything other than pour money into these things, not try and direct the editorial content.
I don't agree with you. I think that's a misread of the only one I have any kind of sense of motivation and tactics is Mark Benioff with Time Magazine. And I don't think that he's in any way, judging from where their financial position is, I don't think that he's in any way surprised or feeling that this is not a successful venture. I just don't see it.
Fair enough. I just
what's
was
going on. I don't know what's going on with
the Washington Post or
Washington Post.
the LA
All I
Times.
know is that today, somehow my subscription, which I've been paying for years, isn't working anymore. So it's probably,
it's because of our credit card situation.
right.
Okay. Well, there you
Which
go.
is what we have them, and we spend too much money.
No, it's because I lost my wallet. We changed our cards, and some of those auto pays are missing. We just have to change it. It's
But
gonna be okay, Steve.
But aren't
Anyway,
those-
go ahead, Brent. Sorry.
And
I
the
think
third
losing
one was what? Just to round out the discussion about Battaglia, what was the third product that is under threat because it's owned by a billionaire?
LA Times.
Right. And then there's also
There's the
Steve
Post.
Jobs' widow's The Atlantic, which I consider to be an interesting problem from a content perspective.
I like reading those stories.
But isn't the whole point that these people do not buy these things to make money?
Yeah, that's right. It's like a novelty to them. They're all those guys you mentioned. I'm guessing they're much richer now than they were when they bought these things.
You're right, but I don't know that it's a novelty as much as it's a feather in the cap.
Not a novelty. What's that word where you just buy it because you can?
Vanity.
That's it. To me,
Maybe.
that's what these things are, because they weren't dependent on these things to make any money.
So Twitter was a vanity for Musk?
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Bezos, the print. Like,
I think Twitter is a very good example of how there are other forces at play besides billionaires, trying to get into show business. I don't think that's the real.
There are other. Actually, Michael made a reply to somebody's item today on one of the social media, where he was talking about how people's consumption of content has changed dramatically since newspapers were important, since the 6 o'clock news was important, to be Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and yada yada yada. To steal a line from Seinfeld, it is, and he's right about that. Things have changed so much, and changed so much only in the last couple of years. I mean, people are now talking again about TikTok as being, and YouTube as being real forces in the dissemination of content.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, more now than they were the last time they were talking
Way
about
more.
TikTok. And yeah.
Well, let's put it like
and-
this.
I
get
think
most
it
of-
goes. Go ahead,
Oh,
Brent.
no, you go, Keith.
Oh no, you go.
No, you know what?
Now
Dennis,
we're all
why
going to be.
Dennis,
now we're going to
why
go
don't-
from yelling at each other to. You go
why don't-
first.
Why don't you go,
Okay,
Dennis?
I'll go. What Dennis said earlier, I can't remember your exact words, Dennis, but it was about having a conversation that is substantive, including difference, and discussing it as opposed to retreating into camps is how I interpreted it. But you can say what your actual words were. But if you look at what Musk's purchase of Twitter, and I think the Washington Post, which I read as well, I subscribe to, and I find it
Me too.
covers all kinds of ranges of opinion in there.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't read Time. I do read The Atlantic, which I also find to be compelling.
Agree.
I think Musk's claim, whatever the truth is, his claim is he wanted to bring back discourse, open discourse. And the idea that we shouldn't retreat into camps and throw bombs at each other, we should have real discourse. It seems to me that we've lost that. The media is responsible. I agree with that, because they have loved this warring camps way of doing things. And I think many of these people, they're not in that warring camps world. They're in a let's talk about this world. And I think that's way healthier.
You know, though, an open
Mm.
discourse is not much different than Christmas dinner, when everybody finally gets really drunk and starts yelling about the exact same thing we're talking about. That's open discourse. So,
I think that's a spectrum. If you were to characterize the human race on a spectrum where on the outside edges, everyone's in a camp, and in the middle, everyone isn't, I think the middle's growing. I think there's a backlash against camps.
I don't see any real evidence that Musk's approach to having multiple voices has had any positive impact on the effectiveness of the conversation.
Right. And I was going to ask you, Keith, what do you think Musk has put into motion that has furthered that, what you're claiming that he wants to do is open up the discourse?
Yeah. I think he's not necessarily 100% aware of what he's doing. I think his starting point was the fake left control the message on Twitter and work with government as well. And I want to put that to a stop. I think it was quite a narrow set of things that he was focused on. And that led to him being called right wing, because obviously the thing that implied was that you would let people back in who were previously banned, and therefore he's right wing, which I don't believe he is. So I think what he's done is he said Twitter is not for banning for the most part. Everyone's welcome on a very wide range of opinions for the most part. And then he's gone further and he started speaking out on various single issues through his own tweets, which are highly controversial and provoke a reaction, which provokes a discussion. Sometimes mud throwing, but often a discussion. So I think when you're breaking eggs, it's ugly. And he's breaking eggs, and there's a certain ugliness, but it's way better than the purity of a single camp owning everything.
By the way,
Brent, what do you think about that?
DeSantis just dropped out, apparently. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
What a shock.
Yeah, I guess he knew he was going to look really bad getting 2 or 3%. So
Yeah.
Sorry, I got
and
into
where do you think DeSantis is gonna throw his
Trump.
Of
Trump.
course.
He'll
Really?
give it. Yeah, yeah.
You
Who-
think he's gonna
who-
throw it to Nikki Haley? I don't
Maybe.
Who
think
thought?
so.
Yeah, Tim Scott. If Tim Scott will do it, so will DeSantis.
They all want to be VP at this point. They all want to get cabinet position, whatever. And they're going with the big dog they have there. They're
Yeah,
not
they may
going
be
to her.
wanting to think a little longer about that because since most of the cabinet and the staff are under indictment at this point.
I was thinking, let's thinking ahead. Trump loses. Thinking ahead, if Trump loses, and Trump loses, what happens? What's going to happen? Are we still going to have this divided country? Yes, we are. Is there going to be violence? Probably. It just seems to me that no matter what happens, the country loses.
It's
No matter.
interesting. I just saw an interview with David Mamet on this YouTube channel called Unheard, which is a UK-based, really good channel, UNHERD. And David Mamet was interviewed, and he just said some of what you were saying. David Mamet's a Trump supporter, weirdly, for such an intellectual, and he's quite articulate in why. And one of the points he makes is that when everyone says there'll be violence if Trump wins, his version of that is we're going to start killing people if Trump wins, which is the liberals becoming illiberal in the face of democracy. That's his words. It's kind of, I think that whole discussion about violence and not accepting results, we shouldn't fuel that. It should be, no matter who wins, if they win, they win.
I said it because it crossed my mind, and I agree with you 100%, but that still doesn't mean it's not crossing my mind. So there you go.
You look so sad.
Oh,
Poor guy. He can go back to Florida and wreck that state.
It's not
Newsom was on Bill Maher last night as well, which was he's starting to play on the national stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little too slow.
I think 4 years from now he's got a shot.
Can I
What I was going to do, 100 years ago was to throw up the straw man or person that Nikki Haley is going to be wined and dined by the whatever that third party group is.
labels? No labels?
No
Yeah.
labels. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only place she has to go, and I don't think it's going to work. But what else is new?
Well, I don't think that's where she would go now.
Why not?
Well, Tim Draper is backing her. I don't know if you saw. Tim Draper is a VC here in the Valley. He released a song yesterday on timdraper.com supporting her. It's the worst song I've ever heard.
Bad
Oh,
timing.
great. That'll
too.
help.
Really bad timing.
But I mean, he's a deep Republican, and I doubt her backers want her to be in a third party, even if it seems like a rational path. Don't you think she might play for time here? Like
Yes.
just stay in all the primaries, get whatever it will end up being, maybe 30, 40. With only him and her in the race, she might even get 45, 46%. And then hope that he gets locked up at some point and the whole thing flips.
Yeah, but a lot of these states, well, not a lot of, apparently some of these states, these Republican committees change the way that the votes are, or what do they call it? It's the
Whether you get all of them or whether you get your share.
Yeah, like if you
Winner take all.
Yeah, winner take all states, and California is one of them. So even if he wins by a little bit over whoever, he's going to get all of the Republican electoral votes. That's what I was looking for. Or what? Not electoral votes, but whatever they call it.
He gets the delegates.
Yeah, he gets all of them. So there's no way she can win, because even if she ekes out New Hampshire, she's going to get crushed in her own state, and then all that Super Tuesday Southern state stuff, she has zero chance against him.
I would
But
love to. I'd love to see a convention actually be a convention again, but I don't think it's going to happen. But it would be so much fun to see
It's a
that.
coronation.
Trump is going to win the nomination.
Yeah.
Okay, and the conventional wisdom, which is, I think, mostly sold to us by Democrats, is that Trump is evil incarnate and that we have to stop the loss of the republic. That's what the strategy is.
Yep.
I think that's not true.
I think it's true, but I don't think it's a good strategy.
If you take a look at
I like what,
Haley,
yeah, I like what
if you
Frank
take
is
a look
saying.
at what Nikki Haley says and talks about, she's basically saying we need a reboot from this. She's about to get thrown, like Liz Cheney, she's about to get thrown out of the Republican Party because the Republican Party is going to take a look at the polls, which interestingly have been quite accurate,
Yeah.
including about how Trump is ascendant in the Republican Party. And she's going to say to herself, what's the impact of me and say Liz Cheney or some other credible, there's really very few credible people anti-Trump, but what's the impact of them just basically saying the hell with the convention, the hell with the Republican Party, the hell with the Democratic Party. I mean, that's what Haley said in her acceptance speech for having come in third. And it was a pretty compelling speech.
Interesting that you say that,
Who's
Steve,
going to fight
because
that?
nobody. Think about in a microcosm, the fact that the New Hampshire debates were canceled. That's a big deal. I think it's a bigger deal than anybody's giving it. If you're the network or the networks that sent their scores of people there to set up these grand productions that then had to tear them down because that's a microcosm of what you're talking about. I think A, and B. The other thing is I think that money's going to start flowing into Haley's coffers right now, immediately, because DeSantis just pulled out, that she had maybe not expected this soon. And I think that will give her the motivation and the impetus to continue to stay on board to do what Keith was saying.
Yeah, but she has no shot because she will not she will not go at this guy. She's always pussyfooting around, well, you don't want any Trump Biden thing anymore.
As
she
long
never
as
goes at him.
Yeah,
As long
as she continues that, I think you're right. But
she's afraid to do a lot of the stuff that you need to do. I mean, like I said, I'm going to go back to that simple question. Did racism ever exist in America? And she couldn't answer that.
Oh, she
She's out of there.
answered it.
Oh yeah, with a whole bunch of word salad about the tap dancing. If she can't answer that one directly, she's not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, she answered it. Tina's right. She said this has never been a racist country, which is
that's even worse.
So the only way she does a turnaround is to do a turnaround.
She ain't doing it. She's afraid. Yeah. She's afraid. I'm sorry. She is definitely afraid of the Trump voters more than Trump.
She's not going to be afraid much longer because she's being drummed out of the Republican Party.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
Well, there's a mean
polls the opportunity to
polls show that she's the
most party, but
polls show her as the most effective Republican candidate against
Biden. Right.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
So why would she be?
But those out
of the Republican Party,
because
those Republican voters
they're
don't
telling her, "Oh, okay, thank you, bye."
So now, what kind of a role might Elise Stefanik play if she became the vice presidential pick? Yeah,
have you watched her for any length of time?
I can't.
I can't.
Oh, no, I think she's super effective. I think she's very effective.
because I can't
So-
watch her doesn't mean that the others can't watch her, and the others are like they're gravitating towards her.
If you
And I-
compare her to all those crazy House of Representatives, right-wing women, she comes
One of
across as professional, thoughtful, certainly right-wing, and certainly consistent with her arguments, supporting Trump in all kinds of different ways, but not crazy.
If
I
she
mean-
ran for the chairman or chairperson of the library committee, I would picket it.
so
She's a snake.
that's my
Well, oh,
point.
that's true.
If she
That's true.
ends up being the vice presidential pick, how will that affect the overall vote for Trump?
Not at all.
I
Meaning,
don't know about that. I
No.
don't know about that because I think part of what's going on
what
in
was
the
the
Republican.
woman from
No,
Alaska?
hold on,
How did that go?
hold on. Part of what's going on in the Republican Party is not just racism; it's also an anti-feminist movement, and I think that that's going to play a part in why someone like Nikki Haley cannot go much further than she's already gone. And I think that a woman vice presidential pick will hurt Donald Trump because those people think that way.
No,
hate that.
not if it's
I-
not if there's a female vice president for the Democrats and a female vice president.
Well, but there already
it's the
is
law.
a black female vice presidential pick on the Democratic side, A, and B, she has been handed the abortion story to go out and campaign with. That is what's going on with the Democratic vice presidential candidate.
Kamala.
And that Kamala is going to go out and talk about that. And that's going to be a big difference. That's a
Well,
differentiator.
Stefanik is not hard right on abortion. She supports, I think it's
Well,
60.
she was moderate until she saw her opening.
Until she wasn't.
Yeah, she ain't the same person apparently as she was a couple of years ago. It sounds like she made up her mind to go all in, and she's done it.
Well, the question you asked, Frank, was, is it going to make a difference? I don't think so.
Hmm.
The biggest problem that anybody taking the vice presidential nod from Trump is that if they get too strong, Trump will
Knock them out.
Yeah.
So I don't think that she's got a whole lot more leverage than she's already.
But I don't think it's leverage with Trump. I think it's leverage with the voters.
I don't think they pay attention.
And I think it's okay.
He'd
Well,
be better
I-
off with Nikki as vice
You- do
president.
you don't
She'd bring in
think
the
that-
next people?
You don't think that McCain's pick hurt him, for
Of-
example?
But
Well, but not because she was a woman.
No.
She was
She
an
was
idiot.
an idiot.
Yes, she was. And if you ask me, part of what the problem is with Stefanik is she's an idiot.
I don't agree with that.
She's just not Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert idiot. She
has a better. I mean, she has a better
She's smarter than him.
rapport with
Yes.
with both male and female voters than either Nikki Haley or Kamala Harris.
I don't know about that one.
I don't either.
Ah,
Black
That's my
women
judgment.
voters
That's
are,
just my
is a-
judgment as
I don't
But
think
you
so.
gotta remember, black women voters are a huge voting bloc for Democrats, and they're gonna be out there. She
Yeah.
made a difference, believe me. With Biden.
Black women will make a difference
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
Women
and
will be
and
different.
and now they're also saying that the youth vote, 18 to 24, 18 to 29, something like that, are starting to gravitate back towards the Democrats. Because there was some polling early on that said that the youth vote had actually met. I can't figure out why this is. Problem is, I can't get my head around why any of this is.
Well,
But-
this is
Wait,
when
wait, finish that statement. Just I want to hear what you're saying, that they were gravitating away. Now they're coming back to.
Yes, that's what I'm reading.
And you don't know why they were
I-
gravitating away?
I know why. I know why.
Or
They were gravitating because they
That's
were
why.
hoping to get somebody else to run. They didn't think Biden was going to run again because for some reason they thought, well, he was going to get in and then do only one term.
But
And all
gravitating
these-
towards Trump?
These folks were never gravitating towards nothing. The thing is, they have to come up with they have to come to terms with, it's either going to be Trump or Biden. There's really nothing else in between. And once they
There's
come
no
to that
gray.
realization, I think they'll do what they did the last time.
But look,
Mm.
Trump
I agree.
Trump has an unusually large female following, especially white females, especially white working class females. I mean, that's just true, right? I mean, we were all surprised. I was. And so why is that? I think it's because the politics of white working class females is completely pragmatic and not ideological. They support Trump for very pragmatic reasons to do with their economic situation mostly, and their belief that immigration is threatening their economic situation, and that overseas trade, especially cheap goods, is
Well-
threatening. So
Well,
that,
I think
except
it's-
for that third one, Keith,
No.
the other two are lies.
well, whether they're lies is a bad word, because of course they're not fully lies. There's always some truth in everything. So if you really engage with them, like on their terms, about their life chances and expectations, then they're not wrong to be concerned about the things they're concerned with.
You know, I think I sort of disagree with the way I see it with the non-college educated working class white females who are supporting Trump. They're kind of used to guys
Yes.
ruling their lives, telling them what to do. This is a familiar kind of attitude, and people gravitate to what they know. I'm making a blanket statement, sure, we all are, but I don't think it's about that they're so practical and they're so just, you know, economics and that's it. I don't think so.
I'm from a working class neighborhood. I can tell you, I don't recognize these working class women who are subservient to their men. That's the opposite. They're hard ass.
Well, Deanne on the chat in Facebook is actually agreeing with you, Tina. So, but I see what you're saying, Keith. I don't see that. Certainly don't see it over here.
Yeah. No,
But over here doesn't matter.
My sister is, you know, has a whole history of dealing with men. I can tell you, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes.
But you are.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
Hey, can we touch on, I hate talking about this dude, but there's a couple of things around the Musk guy. Do you see where he said something to the effect of, you know, he has these things that he wants to do with Tesla, but he will only do them if he has 25% of the owns 25%.
AI.
So yeah, the AI related. So he's sitting at like 13%. And he basically said, you know, if you want me here to do these things, I need to be at 25%. Has anybody ever heard of that before? That kind
Well,
of demand?
it's to do with the fact that he has a separate company called XAI, which is not owned by X or by Tesla. So and it just raised $500 million this week. The goal was to raise $1 billion, and they got halfway there. And you know, Musk's whole history is starting new cos that are independent of any other company that he's in. And apparently the Tesla board are saying to him, well, wait a minute, shouldn't you be doing that inside here? And his logical answer, I'd actually answer it the same if I was him, is, well, I only own 13% of that. I own 100% of this. Why would I do it inside there? If you give me 25%, then I'll think about it.
Can't fall for that.
Because an entrepreneur is allowed to have more than one company. Why would you put, like, I'm at Signal Rank, and let's say I came up with some idea that had nothing to do with anything Signal Rank does. My first instinct would be to start a new company, not to put it inside Signal Rank.
And in the end, doesn't this help him try and recoup some of the money he's lost with X?
Yeah.
He's made more money on the loss with X than
Than he would have made if it had made money.
out. He's
Yeah, his net worth
regained
has gone
the
up.
richest person in the world title since he so-called lost the value of Twitter.
Okay.
Goes back to our discussion about billionaires, buying into the media. I mean, we see that Andreessen Horowitz hasn't done such a great job of buying into Substack. That whole idea that the media is available because they're on the decline economically, I don't think that that's real. I think one of the things that Trump understands better than we would hope is how if you give the media what it wants, uh, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what though? What's interesting? Another. I can't believe I'm going all Elon all the time here, but
Go for it, Brent.
there's another really interesting thing. That's taking place on Twitter, and it's Mr. Beast versus Elon. Have you ever heard of this guy, Mr. Beast, on YouTube?
Yeah.
He's got like 200 million subscribers, which is unbelievable. 200 million subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
And Elon apparently is trying to get him to upload videos under X, the boost, boost
Not
views on
trying.
this thing.
Successfully.
Which
Yeah,
he
but-
did, by the way.
But this is what the dude is saying. But yeah, YouTube, Mr. B says Twitter compensation wouldn't fund a fraction of videos he makes. So it's
Well-
like,
Well, that's true.
yeah, there's
But he did it.
he seems to be having all sorts of issues trying to actually make money with whatever is left of X. When a dude named Mr. Beast is doing 200 million subscribers, I mean, he's almost got the same number of subscribers as people on Twitter. I mean, that Twitter has for people. I mean, what, a
Well,
third of
so-
it?
so-
Well, half.
A half of it? But that's one dude on YouTube.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
true.
Mi-
That's amazing to me.
Mr. Beast spends as much on a single YouTube video as most Hollywood studios spend on a movie. He's minting so much money
It's
from his
amazing.
YouTube channel, and he then has all these subsidiary revenue streams. So his YouTube channel is break even on ads, but he sells things like Mr. Beast burgers. He's got all this stuff that's a spin out, and those things are all making money. Yeah, there's a Mr. Beast burger.
Oh my gosh.
So, but you think about journalists gravitating to X. What's his name? Who had the Late Show on CNN that was let go during the whole Chris Licht thing. Don Lemon is now moving to X and creating a show for X.
And does anybody care about that? I'm
No,
sorry.
I don't think so. But he wouldn't do it unless X was paying him to do it.
That won't last
And-
long. I guarantee you, he won't be doing that for pay very long. Because
Yeah.
who is going to watch Don Lemon? Maybe I
Well,
should.
Well, I don't know. Even on television, he managed to get about a million to 1.5 million viewers. So at 5 nights a week, he's making 6 to 7 million viewers. Not a big number, but it depends on what he says and how he says it. I'm not suggesting that it's a good idea. I actually think it's a terrible idea. But there's a big firing scheme going on at all of the major networks right now. NBC is letting 100 journalists go. CNN is letting people go. They're all even CNN is letting them go because they're reestablishing their digital side. And what they're saying is we're going to let people go from the analog side or from the traditional side, and they can reapply for jobs on the digital side, which will be jobs that will pay them less money and will not come with any kind of matching 401k or pension.
the,
For any
the,
benefits? They'll be
Oh,
some.
they'll always get benefits. They'll get benefits.
Will
the
they
inter-
be
the
employees?
interest-
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
the interesting trends. If I tell you one fact, this week a Kazakhstan everything app called Kaspik, I think it's called, raised $1 billion on the New York Stock Exchange at a valuation of 18. it's the dominant app in a single country that has 20 million population, Kazakhstan, and it's worth 20 billion. The idea that an app like X, which is global,
2 hours.
that dominates all the things that a person does, whether it's moving money around, which, by the way, they just got licenses in a few more states this week to move money. They're doing money licenses everywhere. Elon is turning Musk into a mega app that will make a lot of money, and you have
Elon
to
is
see the
turning
signals.
Musk.
What?
He's
Kind of-
turning X. You meant he's turning X.
You're
Turning X. What did I say?
You
Musk.
said Elon was going to turn Musk.
Oh, X. Sorry. And so I think an audience of 6 million on X is completely doable, and 6 million can make you personally a millionaire. And so the idea that there's something irrational about it all, I think, is mistaken. I think the future of media is as close to what we're doing, except you can attract an audience of 6 million as you could get. And the future of turning on the TV to watch the news is Zippo. It's going to Zippo.
Unless you're putting this on the TV, which is
Well, the TV just becomes a screen.
that's
It's not-
exactly right.
No,
Yeah.
it becomes the Apple Vision Pro.
Oh,
Yeah, which I bought one, by the way.
Did you? I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted. But I feel like I want to wait for like a second.
3,500.
It's not you
Man.
that it's your wife.
Oh, exactly. But I actually think, as much as I am tempted to do it, that I will do what I did with my other VR devices, and that is use them for a while and set them down and then forget where I set them. They end up in that box of deplorable tools.
Mine end up on eBay.
it'll be cheaper. Make the trip, visit, have your fun with it, and then that's it.
That's what I did with
It's
the
not bad.
with
I
the
mean,
with
I
the
think we're not bad.
15.
Yeah,
I ended up
think-
buying them.
I
I bought
think
the
Tina's
15.
completely wrong.
Wrong. No,
Tina
don't come.
doesn't know what she's talking about.
Don't travel to LA. I bought the 15.
It's going to be an enormous hit. It's going to completely change the entire media business. It's already changed it about half the way. It's twice as expensive
Not
as
this year.
they say, because you got to have another person to talk to,
Not this year. Not gonna.
and they
Oh,
need
so
one.
a lot of really rich people are going to talk to a lot of really rich
No,
people.
Oh,
no.
Keith, you and I would spend a lot of time talking to each other. Then I guess
Well,
Well, you
I'm not
see
buying it to
the
talk to
3D.
anyone. I'm buying it to. I'm hoping it replaces my physical screens and my desk.
yeah.
And I'm hoping it replaces my TV projector.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's going to get rid of a lot of clutter and just become one thing.
That's
that you do
right.
everything.
Because that's how you justify the next purchases.
Yeah.
By outmoding the previous.
It's gonna clean up my space. No, it won't. You're gonna have all the same junk.
Okay, if the price wasn't an issue,
Oh, I'm in.
would everybody be eager to use it and learn and build on it and develop?
No, because that's what Meta's doing, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't buy one of those.
Tech nerds
Okay, so
will.
you
All
say
the tech
no.
nerds will. The tech nerds will do it.
It won't replace some things. Like me and Jenny sit down and watch something, and seeing her sit next to me
Me too.
giggling at a joke
Yeah,
is
you're going
a lot
to
of
need
the
two.
pleasure.
So it's not
giggling at
about
me
one;
maybe.
it's about two. You need two.
You
One
need,
for
well, yeah,
you,
except
one
if
for
you've both
the
got your face
person
covered,
next to you.
if you've both got your face covered, you can't really see the reaction that someone's having to something.
Well, no, with this device you can't you? You
Yes.
can look over and actually see
Correct.
through the image. So yeah, you need two of them. So there's
Audio
7,000.
animatronic version of reality.
Yeah.
By looking to your left.
Yeah, but then you see this person with a mask. You
No,
you don't.
Trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
Anyway,
We'll see.
I'll let you know if I break down and buy one, but I have to do it on the QT.
Well, you know,
She's not-
I'm
eventually,
telling Vita.
if the show continues, we'll be down to only having to buy one.
By the way, Culprit was great. Thank you, Frank.
Oh, it was really good. I enjoyed that. I'll tell you something really
Culprit.
weird. after you guys, I have been watching all of the seasons of Fargo backwards. So I started with season 5 because everyone says season 5 was an absolute smash, which it was. So then I looked at season 4 and I went, oh my God, this is incredible. And then I went to season 3 and I went, oh, how do they do this? And now I'm on season 2, and it's got the stars in season 2 are incredible. And I'm not sure. I, for some reason, think I may have seen a couple of episodes of season 1 and didn't get into it. But I'm telling you, I got into it. And if you haven't seen it, all of it, you should.
I've seen all of it. I'm interested to. I haven't started it yet, but the new True Detective with Jodie.
Oh, it's great. It is great. It is as good as the first season was. Because the first season was, I thought, was magnificent. It's a little twisty. I don't mean twisty in the storytelling, no spoilers, but it's a little twisty in its sort of the zeitgeist of the show. But I think it's phenomenal. I really do.
I'm going to not renew my Washington Post subscription so that I can pay for the WBD. So
you mean Disco Bros? Is it on Disco Bros? Oh, that's right. It's
Is that the
HBO
A10
Max.
Mini doing its work, Brent?
What's that?
Is that the A10 that you're using to do all that?
It's a combination of the ATEM and an app, Mix Effect Pro.
Oh yeah.
So the great thing, Keith, though, is over here I get it on Now TV, which is
the
a
game
Sky.
started yet?
Yes.
It's 3-3. See, I'm showing you guys. It's a nice
well,
run.
Now I can
Nice
see.
run.
All right.
Nice run.
Anyway,
Okay,
there you
well-
go. That was my last word. So you can
Thanks
leave
to
me out.
everybody who showed up, and especially those who quit. We'll see you again next time, if there is a next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Chow mein.
Bye.
Bye. All right, I'm going to bed. See you guys. Or I'm going to go finish watching season 2 of